Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Rocket Live. And I am really excited about my guest today. I'm like really pumped. This is great. I have the one, the only, Mr. Michael Muñoz here on the show today. Michael, welcome.
Hi, how are you? Can I just say that intro just gave me my entire life?
That's awesome.
I don't really listen to a lot of what do you even classify that
It's
as?
just like
Hard
metal. It's like
rock,
hard
a little
rock
metal.
metal. Yeah,
It was a little bit more melodic than metal, I would say,
right.
but like a good drum lick that oh, it like I was jamming out real hard back here.
Nice. Yeah, I used to, when I first started and doing like the little countdown, it was like I think I had it at like 3 minutes or something, and it was like cool, but like I'm like, all right, 3 minutes is way too long, and I'm like, I'm just gonna cut it down to 90 seconds, but like you still get like the good like riffage and the energy from it. So
It was good. I could do that all over again. That was good. Not that I don't want to talk to you.
Yeah, no, I'm with you, man. It's listen to good tunes, man. It gets you psyched up, get you going. So yeah, well, thank you and welcome, and I really appreciate you coming on today. And I want to thank everybody right now who's watching live. Of course, as we go on throughout the show, if you have any questions or comments along the way, feel free to throw them into chat and we'll bring them up and address them, or answer your questions as we go. For everybody that's watching on the replay of this, really appreciate you. Thank you so much for taking the time to watch the replay. And of course, a big thank you to everybody that will be listening to the audio version of this on the audio podcast when that comes out. And here we are. I love this. So once again, I feel like every week I'm prefacing the interview with, and so I met this person on Clubhouse, but it's been truly amazing being part of Clubhouse, because that has been for me one of the best benefits of being on the app, is meeting so many new people and really connecting with others and sharing a lot of like similar like interests and just hearing people's stories. And I love that. And that for me has been, if you're going to ask me what the biggest reason why I use the app and why I love it, that is number one for me is the ability to meet and connect with people like yourself. And
Agreed.
Yeah, it's just awesome. And
it's
you and I are
weird thing. Isn't Clubhouse such a weird thing though? Like, who decided to make conference calling cool?
You just took the words out of my mouth. It's like conference cooling mixed with like 90s like party lines.
Yeah, it's like 90s party line. I'm old enough to know.
You get that reference.
Not 90s party lines, but no, legit. I was like, wait a minute. We entered this pandemic and everyone's like, yes, working from home, no conference calls, like, and then everyone was over Zoom. And so like I guess we regressed back into the conference call with strangers.
Yeah, it's so weird. It's like, it's kind of like we don't like the Zoom. We took to video conferencing and everybody was on that, and then everybody was like, oh, Zoom burnout, Zoom fatigue, which is totally real. But then we go to like conference calling through an app, but we can create rooms with whatever we want and talk about whatever we want. It's just, the whole thing is like bizarre. It's so retro, but yet completely like,
yeah, it's
new.
It's
weird.
Very, very weird, but it is a blessing, like you said, because I have met so many really, really interesting people. I've made really like authentic and like genuine connections to people. People have helped me out, people have popped on my podcast last minute. So it's great. It's really, really great. And I look forward to seeing what becomes of it.
Yeah, there's definitely a lot of potential with it. And of course, like anything, we could sit and we could, oh, this sucks. But at the end of the day, it is an app in beta. It's growing. It's been only open to iPhone users. It is opening to Android, I think, in like, I don't know, but we're doing this now, and I think like May 1st, this is like, we're in like mid-April or something like that. It's supposed to be opening up to Android soon, which will basically be the rest of the world when that happens. So it'll be very interesting to see what happens when more people come onto the app, because it seems like a lot now, but like when you compare it against like like a Twitter or Facebook or even Instagram, like 10 11 million users, that's not a lot compared to the billions that are like using the other platforms.
I wonder if it'll like crash it, or I wonder if like there'll be more spam, or those kids who love to come into the room and mess things up, or You know, I'm
Yeah, exactly. Like I'm wondering if that's going to happen at all,
yeah.
because that's something that I definitely feel like has the potential for happening as this goes on. Um, oh, and it looks like we're frozen a little bit. Hopefully, Mike will come back. There he is. He's back on.
Yeah.
That was
No,
weird. Yeah, it was like it froze on my side for like I don't know, like 10 seconds, and now you're back. So great.
the
Perfect.
internet.
The internet.
They're listening to us contemplate Clubhouse.
Yeah, that's exactly it. So yeah, so Michael and I we met in one of the rooms there on Clubhouse, which is the one it's pretty much the one room I go in regularly every morning, which is the morning podcast chat room run by the RTP Real Talk Podcasting people, Tanner and Pedro and Roman, and of course our good friend Amanda, who's also on the show. Pedro was on the show. Tanner's coming up in like another month or so. And I've had some other people from the room on the show as well. Stacy Sherman's been on, and it's just once again, even just being in that room and meeting everybody, and like we're all brought together on podcasting, but what everybody does and their stories are so interesting to me that I was like, oh, I want these people to come on. I want to hear what they have to say. And I love, listening to you in the mornings and coming on, but you've got a really great, your personal brand's great, but like what you're all about and what's going on and what you talk about. And I love, of course, like who doesn't like food? So, you have this great, like whole culinary aspect going on. You've got a podcast, a great blog. I watch your TikToks, which are awesome. Don't stop doing those. They're hilarious.
They take so much time.
They do, but you know what? But you do them really well. And I urge everybody to go find Michael's TikTok, which we'll talk about. But
there's only 8 of them, so you don't have to spend a lot of time on my TikTok.
Yeah, but I want to go into it a little bit with you. So
yeah, let's do it.
Because going on your website, I get a little flavor of your background, but I want you to tell everybody your story. Like what's happening with you? What are you doing? How did you get here? All that.
My God. In the words of Deborah Cox, how did you get here? Not under the rock genre, more like the dance genre, but
right.
But yeah, the journey's long and weird and windy. And if you told me even 8 years ago that this is where I'd be today, I'd be like, are you crazy?
Yeah.
No way. So I started this journey through college. I wanted to sing. I wanted to do musical theater. I went to a conservatory for classical music, did that whole route, did musical theater for years. I've been on stage with the likes of Julie Andrews, Andrea Bocelli, Charlotte Church, and more from the stages of off-Broadway. And then the recession hit in 2009. And when you're in like the arts, no matter where you are, they don't teach you these things in school to like prep you out for like the real world and real life. And so I was blessed from going to job to job to job and and living in this like fabulous bubble of like, I'm working and this is great. And I'm on stage and I'm dancing, not really paying attention to what's going on in the world and not prepping myself, like thinking ahead.
Right.
So there I go, moved back in with my mom. I'm on her couch, just watching a lot of Food Network. And at the time, Food Network's aesthetic, which was stunning, was Giada De Laurentiis and Ina Garten.
Right.
And everything was very quiet.
Yes. Very quiet. Very soft
and beautiful. But it was stunning. It was absolutely beautiful. And I was longing for, I grew up watching, The Galloping Gourmet, Graham Kerr.
Yes.
He was so much fun. It was like watching
so much fun.
It was like watching Jimmy Kimmel, but he cooked.
Right. Yeah, exactly. It was like he had a whole thing going on. It was great. Yeah.
It was kind of what Emerald took and like made bigger. That's why Emerald was so popular, because you got a show, Right. BAM was part of the show.
Yeah.
Right? And it was interesting and it was late night and it was fun. So I found myself longing for that, not that there was anything wrong with this beautiful aesthetic, because it was beautiful. And then on top of that, I didn't find somebody that looked like me on Food Network. Not only that was Latino, but gay and Latino, queer and Latino. So I was longing for this. And so from that, like I had a show concept, right? And that kind of turned into a blog, my first blog that took off, that kind of set this ball rolling down the hill while I was still trying to do theater. And come 2012, the blog came and went and
Right.
then came back again. And then like Food Network called for competition shows and like that didn't pan out. Like this would just kind of walk in and out of my life.
Right.
And every time I tried to leave, it came back being like, hello, you need to be doing
Right. Right.
and so like my latest iteration or right before pre pandemic, I was writing for a magazine. I was a food contributor to a magazine, West 42nd Street, which is a local magazine here in Manhattan that covers all of Midtown West. I have my podcast, which is the only food podcast on the airwaves
Mhm.
that celebrates LGBTQ people in the food space. I was slated to host out a bunch of food events. I did some stuff with New York, that was New York Wine and Food Festival adjacent. The casting people from like all the food shows were calling again. So like things were really, really rolling. And here I am, and it's great. And the podcast is doing really, really well, and I'm blessed. And yeah, that's kind of like that journey. But if you would have told me I'd be here talking to you, talking about this, because that started in 2009.
Yeah.
But I always was like, no, 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 I'm gonna stick to the stage stuff. I'm gonna stick to the stage stuff. And now
Mhm.
this has become kind of full time. Besides like all the other stuff I do for money, right? It's that New York hustle. You have to do
Yeah.
like 8,000 things.
Right. It's like you always got a side hustle to the side hustle to the side hustle.
Yep, that's right. Listen,
But it's
the
true.
most successful people like are just always like the plates are always spinning.
Right. They've always got something else going on. There's always something, some irons in the fire somewhere, like in this pops and then that pops. And so it's a very diverse portfolio of action.
Well, yeah, and I mean, how many times have you heard the people from Shark Tank or the people who talk about like those random self-help money people talk about like failing 1,000 times at things till
Right.
like the one thing hits. So that's like the irons in the fire, right? And it's not
Yeah.
necessarily failing. It's just like you tried it and it didn't work. It didn't fail because you learned from that experience. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah.
I wouldn't consider that failing. I consider that like a milestone. You reached this. It didn't. You have to pivot now to something else because this is no longer working over here. But I'm going to take everything I learned
Yeah.
and apply. You know?
Yeah, it's funny. I just had a conversation earlier about that and like how failure. I actually feel like we should just come up with a new word for that because it isn't like because the failure of trying to do something and maybe it just doesn't go the way you thought it would or it just doesn't go. But the thing is, there's always something to be learned and taken from that, and that's the real positive side. And the thing is, if you're quote unquote failing at something, it means you actually got up off your ass and tried to do something. And like,
yeah, at least
you made an attempt.
Yeah, you were trying. You were there. You were
Right.
doing it. You were present.
Right.
You gave as much as you could, hopefully.
Yeah, I mean, hopefully, and it's like then you're not stuck with the what if for the rest of your life. Well, what if I did it? And what if I did this? And what if I did this? And it's
Yeah.
like, hey, you did it. Maybe it didn't go the way you wanted it, but what did you learn from it that then makes you better the next time?
Listen, and even this, I'm in the podcasting game 3 years now.
Mhm.
I don't know how long you've been doing this specifically, but I'm sure that you can relate to me in the sentiment that
Of course.
sometimes there are days, like even today, I was just like, oh my God, here we go. Gotta get this
Yeah.
done. Right? But it's a labor of love, and you push through. And what I produced today was really good, and the guest was really great, and I'm really proud of it, and I'm proud of, right? And it's these moments that you push through, and and it's like the struggles sometimes, and sometimes it's great, and sometimes you don't want to do it, but you push through, and
Right.
you keep giving it your all, because putting that energy out there is what gives you that energy back. I believe, at least.
Oh, I absolutely am a firm believer in that because yeah, you get what you put out there. And whatever kind of energy you throw out into the world, it does come back to you. And whatever that type of energy is, positive, negative, it will come back to you. And I'm 100% a firm believer in that. That to me, that's just a guiding like law and principle of like life, right? That you are what you think. You put out when you get back what you put out there.
Yeah, for sure. And even my podcast called In Your Mouth didn't start out where it is now, right? I had a co-host.
Right.
It was like just generally food focused, but not like really niche like it is now. And then when I took it over solo, I thought it was just going to be like this fun, campy, big gay thing, right? That I can be ridiculous on. And I'm
Mhm.
still ridiculous, but it kind of turned into its own creature because the more I kept plowing and digging away at it and like getting guests, all of a sudden I found myself telling people stories in a way that people haven't heard them before.
Yeah, and that's actually something I was going to bring up. So I'm glad you said that, because listening to the few episodes I've listened to is that I love what I really love is that the person on the mic is the same person that I've talked to off air. You know what I'm saying? And like, yes, it's like it's you, but that's you being you, you know, that's not like you doing a character of you or anything like that. And I like that it's fun, it's entertaining, it's got a lot of energy, but the stories that people are sharing with you and the conversations you're having and the fun and the energy is like 100% real, and it really comes across well. And I think that that's not I think that is a testament to how you're running the shows and what you're talking about, which is the evolution, which is getting better, getting more comfortable, finding your own way, finding your own voice in doing something like this. And to the point now where I mean, I think I'll bring it up right now. I mean, I listened to your epic veganism, the quick and easy one, and
Oh my God, he's so funny.
for the love of cheesecake was great, and the kindness in the kitchen and beyond was awesome.
Yeah, thank you so much. Your words do really mean a lot because it isn't a labor of love. And I literally never set out for the podcast to be what it is today. And I'm so, so proud of it. And it wasn't until this man from South Africa kind of slid into my DMs on Instagram and he said to me, I love that you've become a custodian of our stories. And I was thinking to myself, I became
That's
a
a
what?
great.
I became a what of a what? And then I realized, well, yeah, because yes, we talk about kitchen culture. Yes, we talk about hypermasculinity in the workplace because the kitchens can be a very toxic environment. Yes, we talk about food and recipes and baking, but
Mhm.
through that we learn, right? Because there is a huge, huge like. I still kind of think it's a little underground, but it's rising, it's breaking through, like LGBTQ culinary world out there, and they're making major, major moves. So we'll be talking about baking cakes, and then all of a sudden, somehow we'll enter into a conversation about like coming out in the foster care system, which is when do you ever hear that? You know,
Right.
like, yes, we hear coming out stories and then people get thrown out of the house, or yes, we hear about like even a lot of people don't even know that a major percentage of the homeless youth in America are LGBT youth.
Hmm.
So it's these conversations develop through the love of cooking, through food,
Right.
which is really interesting too, because
Yes.
food's a major like
Yeah, I mean it's a
proponent of,
conversation starter.
yeah,
It's culture. It's conversation storytelling. I mean, and that's exactly where you're going with this. And this it's what I also wanted to bring up is like the conversations that you're getting into, and I like that statement that he said that you're the custodian of our stories, and in that way, because it is like when you think about like the traditional family dinner, we get around the table and we share, we talk about our day, what goes on, somebody brings something up for good or for worse, like you know, you get into it. Sometimes it's positive, sometimes you find yourself getting heated, but that stuff happens around the kitchen table, and it's the food and the sense of community that brings us together. And I love how you've used food and the culinary culture and all that to do this. Like you talk about that, and then these stories come out of it.
emerge. Yeah,
Yes.
and I mean, it added a responsibility to what I was doing
Mhm.
that I didn't realize that I had or wanted.
Right.
Because once he said it, I was like, "Oh, yes, I accept. I absolutely 100% accept." But now I'm responsible. Now I have to be responsible, right? Because yes, you learn
Yep.
about me through my podcast, but it's people sharing their stories and then I relate, you know?
Mhm.
And it's this fun conversation. I mean, I recently had a recent winner of Chopped on, Chef Denovan Miranda, And he shared this story, which was really beautiful that he shared on Chop too, but it wasn't the full story because it got spliced editing,
Right. Yeah.
But about coming out to his father on his deathbed. And it was super intense. And one of the first times the podcast went like that real deep, and
Right.
it's one of my favorite episodes to date. It was so beautiful. But then again, I was sitting there in the background being like, oh my God, how far do we go? Because you see the train rolling and you're
Right.
like,
You see it and you're like, do I go there? And how do I? Yeah,
right? Am I
exactly.
going to make my guests uncomfortable? This and that. But this story needs to be heard because it's important, because you never know who's listening and
Right.
who it can affect, right? Who grasp
Right.
that and be
Right.
like, oh, he's like me. I get that. Like
Exactly.
I can hold on to that, right? And this will make me like move forward and inspire me to do what he's doing, because he's out there shining
Yeah.
through this struggle. And yeah, and it was that journey that we went on and coming out of that. And it's such a great episode. Oh my God. So yeah, it's important. And the fun thing about it is not only connecting with new people, like connecting with you, right?
Right.
We're having this conversation,
Yeah.
connecting with people, getting to know each other, but these stories and like holding these stories, and it's almost like a time capsule of stories through, call it a
Right.
cookbook of coming out stories, because it's all through food, and in a delightful way you've never heard them before.
Yeah, and I think that's also a great point. Is that exactly? This isn't something that you've heard before in that way, and I think that also makes it like really unique, because it does. It's like, hey, we've all had, we've all seen the cooking shows, we've all heard plenty of food podcasts and things like that, but I like the way that this turns, and it is like having that conversation, like you come together with that commonality, but then like these stories come out, and that to me is like the real cool thing, because exactly like the things that you learn and the things that you can say, oh wow, like that's interesting, I didn't know that, and now I do, and now I'm more aware of that. Or yes, there's something that they've said that I go, wow, I felt like that, or I know someone, I've had a friend who's dealt with that.
Yeah, and the other thing is, listen, just because I've been an out gay man for like over 20 years now doesn't mean I know everything. The
No.
guest I recorded with today, um, I I made an assumption wrongfully. Um, just because I was like, okay, this is how it's going to be. This is what we're going to do. This is what we're going to talk about. And then something else came out about gender fluidity. And I was like,
Mhm.
oh, wait a minute. Okay. And then I had to wrap my mind around this. And I was like, okay, so this is how this is working. This is what this is. This is how we identify. Oh, okay. Now I'm with you. And the
Right.
ball is rolling. But it took me a second to like kind of, you know,
Yeah.
reassess and like understand and listen. And
Right.
that's like, that's where the joy comes from. That's what it is. Cause it's like, yes. Oh my God, that's so cool. Because like, for lack of a better term, like, you're out there and you judge a book by its cover, or you put people in boxes, and so and so
Yep.
fits in this box and so fits in that box. But that's not the way the world works.
No, it's not. It's not. And I think some people would like it to work like that, but that's not really how it works
No,
at the end of the day.
no. And I
And
don't want to be in a box.
no, who wants to be put in a box? Like, we as human beings are like capable of so many amazing things, and we can create such beautiful things. And of course, there's the other end of it. But like that's the thing, is like, why put anybody in a box because of
No.
one way or the other? Like it makes no sense, and it makes life boring.
Listen, even when I go, I've already told my brother, right? If I go first, God forbid, I want a Viking burial ceremony. Put me in like a
Yes.
little wooden boat with like all the flowers, and have some people with fire arrows, right?
Yeah. A funeral pyre, Jedi funeral pyre.
Right? Yep. Right on the Hudson. You know? I don't even want to be in a box at death.
No,
Okay?
right on the Hudson.
That's it. Just send me out in a blaze. I'm good.
Oh, I
I'm
love
good.
that.
You know?
That's really great. That's really great. No, that's really cool. I like that. I say that too. I'm always like, yeah, give me like a Jedi funeral pyre, like that. That's what I want.
Yeah. Just something like, no, like I've already taken up my space. Don't let me take up any more space here. Right?
Right.
No one could put me in a box while I was living. Please don't put me in one afterwards. You know?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So great. Yeah. I don't want it does keep me out of the damn box.
You know?
Yeah.
No way. No way. Right? So So yeah, that's kind of the journey.
Yeah.
That's the
No, I
journey.
love that. I
That's
think
what I'm
it's
on. That's what I'm doing.
yeah, it's really great. So let's just talk about some things. So as far as you as a chef, you're like a self-proclaimed house chef of
Yes, I'm.
sorts, right?
I do not, out of respect for all the chefs that I have befriended and know, and those that I don't know, I call myself an accomplished home cook,
That's
just
it.
because
Accomplished home cook.
just because the title of chef, whether you went to school or not, or grew up like from dishwasher to chefism,
Right.
that is a journey. That is a lot of man hours. That's like 80 hours in the kitchen
Yeah.
weekly. That is a vein and a profession that is very admirable that I can't say that I've done. So I don't take that on, right? Am
Right.
I accomplished home cook? Have I taught myself how to make custom wedding cakes and did it out of 120 square feet in Times Square? Yes. Have I catered parties all by myself? Yes. Have I cooked for people and done things and can I throw down in the kitchen? Yes. Have I put in those hours or went to school? No. So that's
Right.
kind of where I lie in between, right? But
Mhm.
yeah, I can cook.
Nice. So what is like so let's talk about that. So when you're cooking, like what is your go-to? Like everybody has that like go-to dish or two that they're like, I am awesome. Like no one could beat this. Like, or this is the thing I just love doing. And
Well,
sometimes I find it's the simplest thing. So people be like, "Yo, my chocolate chip cookies are off the freaking hook. Like no one can, like it's amazing."
I do make a good chocolate chip cookie. I took down the blog because during the pandemic, because I had a moment of insanity and I
Mhm.
hated everything. You ever see those,
I just want to
right?
burn it all down. Burn it all down.
Yeah, and that's what I did. And because it just felt like a dated journal to me. Like I went back and I was like,
Yeah.
ugh, I hate all of this.
Right.
And I took it all down and I've yet to put it back up. But there is a double chocolate peanut butter cookie recipe that I left up there that's ridiculously delicious. If you love a lot of chocolate and peanut butter. I'm a what I don't even know what I would call it. It would be elevated comfort food.
Mhm.
How about that? Like,
Elevated comfort food.
yeah,
Nice.
so like my mac and cheese, people have it and people go nuts for it. If I'm cooking for myself, I'm really basic because it's just me and I'm trying to eat healthy,
Mhm.
and the gay man of it all. You can't eat the carbs and everything has to be vegetables and salad and ugh. But just to throw myself into a stereotype box. But willingly,
Yeah, right back in the box,
excuse
but
me,
a
right?
willingly box. Yes.
Willingly boxed. But like yeah, I do a lot of different things. I love eggs. I love like I have an egg obsession.
Mm.
Yeah, I do a lot of different things. It just depends the mood I'm in and who I'm cooking for. I mean, I used to throw a thing back in the day called Big Gay Thanksgiving where I would invite anywhere from like 16 to 21 friends over, but from different like walks of life. So it'd be
Right.
like a mix and match dinner party
Right.
and I would cook 3 courses beginning to end. So first course would be like a soup, and then it would be full Thanksgiving dinner, and then all of the desserts. And no one was
Wow.
allowed to bring anything except for
Wow.
booze. Right? I didn't want your food. Don't bring it across the
You must have
threshold.
started cooking like a week out.
4 days. It would take me
Yeah.
4 full days of cooking, and
Wow.
it was everything. And I mean, as it grew and as it changed, I would do different themes, like my big a 60s housewife Thanksgiving. So I made like jello molds, like savory jello
Oh, I
molds
love that. That's
and
great.
fondues and
Yeah.
things. Or I did a Chinese takeout Thanksgiving once. So that was really cool where I brined the turkey in like soy and lemongrass, but then there was like a teriyaki and a General Tso's dipping sauce that went with it. Or
Right.
I did like a winter vegetable lo mein and, like sausage, apple, onion, wontons.
Yeah.
And so like I took like traditional Thanksgiving and threw it in a like kind of Chinese takeout sort of like essence.
Mm.
And so, yeah, it just depends. I think the key and one of my former podcast guests said it the best is seeing cooking beyond its service, right?
Right.
Seeing cooking as just like, oh, I need to feed myself, so I have to cook. Oh, this sucks, right? Because
Yeah.
or if I don't feed myself, I'm not going to live. But when you see cooking beyond its purpose, like, and you like, oh, this is fun and this could be cool. And oh, that's really interesting that like I throw a pinch or two of cinnamon in my chili and it takes the chili from here to like there, and it's like playing. It's almost like a science experiment, like, but in the best of all possible ways.
Yeah, I love that. It's a great way to look at it. Man, I'm like super jealous. I'm like, that's Thanksgiving dinner sounds amazing.
Yeah, I had to stop because it got too big and I was fitting the bill. And there weren't like I would transport my tiny kitchen because I have more. I always say my apartment is like 1/4 like living space, 3/4 kitchen.
Right.
So I would end up transporting all these appliances and things to like bigger friends' kitchens because they weren't as equipped as I am. So that became a pain in the butt. And then, people would start getting angry that like, oh, well, so and so isn't invited, or I'm dating so and so, and why can't they be invited? I was like, well, it's just there's no room. There's no room. It's not that I don't want to invite them, but I can't fit the bill, and it's just too big.
It just gets to be too much. Like exactly. It's like it's fun to do, and then you're like, oh boy, like you're footing the bill, and then it becomes like not as much fun as it used to be, and then it becomes like a thing, and it's like
but listen, if any of your listeners, followers, supporters out there after this whole thing is over and we go back into the new normal want to sponsor the whole thing, and
I was just gonna say sponsorship,
and set it up and bring me a team and people can pay to come, and it could be real cute, right?
I think it'd be awesome.
I think it would be awesome too.
I'd be down.
So
I'll contribute. I would contribute.
Yeah, we are. Listen, and we would be all encompassing. Come one, come all, come correct.
Yes. So going back to the mac and cheese, because I'm stuck on a mac and cheese. So what are you?
Starving.
Yeah, are you like a 5 cheese mac and cheese? Or are you like a 1? Like, what's your go-to cheese combo?
So I'm definitely a multiple cheese kind of guy.
Yeah.
You'll have to get like really salty, really like cheeses in there, like a good manchego. Yes, expensive. I know.
Expensive, but worth it.
Yes, worth every last penny.
Yeah.
A really good cheddar, maybe a goat or something, a Gouda, like these really like sharp like cheeses, right? You build a good base and cheese sauce, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then the thing is either you roast garlic or you take raw garlic. And after the pasta is done, before you put the cheese sauce in, is you rub the garlic through the pasta so it gets stuck in the macaroni holes and whatnot.
Oh, nice. That's a great idea.
Yeah. And then a little red pepper flake. Then you pour the cheese sauce through. You let it do its thing, right? You top it with, now sometimes, depending on my mood, I will take, this is how ridiculous this is. I will take ricotta after all that cheese is already on there, right? I will take, like it's a lasagna all of a sudden. I will take ricotta and paste it over the top, and then take like Parmesan and Pecorino Romano.
Yeah.
And then crisp it up in the oven.
Oh my God.
So really it's cheese and macaroni.
Yeah. It really is.
But even without the ricotta, it's really good, right? You put the I'm not a breadcrumbs person, right? You do the pecorino or the Parmesan on top, and then you throw some bacon on it, or maybe even some chorizo, some like nice spicy chorizo.
Oh, you're killing me. This is great. Boom. This is great. Is do you have any pictures of that on your blog at all, or is
no? I took it down. It needs to come back. Also, life has been really crazy. Just trying to work and trying to find more work, because I lost work, but I was blessed to still be working. During this pandemic and times, and it's like I said before. There's a lot of plates spinning and there's a lot of things, and when I took it down, because I was like, yes, I'm going to redo this. And then I just finding the inspiration to like really do it and have it be the way I want it to be. And recipe test all the things, because all those recipes are still in the background. I just need to change the verbiage and see what, like, decide what I want to do with it and how it needs to be, and find the inspiration. Because y'all out there, I don't know about you, Chris, but this doesn't make us money, or if it does make us money, it's not making us a lot of money. So there's a lot of time and dedication here, that so much so that I can put forth without like ever not sleeping, right? Or ever like just, giving up my regular job, right? So it's slow and steady, it's coming. I need to have that fire ignited under me again to like be like, oh yeah, remember how good this felt? You know? So it's ever changing.
Yeah, I know the feeling for sure. I mean, it's definitely easy, especially when you're, you start creating content and you're doing it because it's something you want to do. It's very passionate. Like, it's just such an expression of what you're into and your interest. And it starts off as like a hobby and fun to do. And then, oh no, like people like it and they want more.
And it spirals.
Yeah, and you start putting more and more time and effort into it. And before you know it, it's a thing. And then that's when and it's true. It's like, it's a thing, but it's not really generating revenue yet. But like, could it be if I did this and did that? And, and it's very true. I mean, I started, this show has been an evolution for me. So I actually have 2 podcasts. So one is I've been doing with my friend for over 3 years, called The Galaxy of Geeks. And he lives in Spain, and we get together and we just riff on, we talk about like what's going on in geek culture. So, Star Wars, Marvel, DC, what's going on in comic book universe, all that stuff, movies, Netflix shows, TV shows. And we make a list and we go down and we talk. But we've been doing that for over 3 years. Makes us zero money. We just do it because we just decided to start taking these conversations that we had offline and turning it into a podcast.
Yeah. There's a great, before you continue, there's a great guy out there by the name of Dan Toro. I think his handle is iMan Cake, like Iman Cake. But all he does is like Sailor Moon and anime themed
That's
cakes,
awesome.
Right?
That's awesome.
He's a big gamer. And so like everything's a reference. I don't get it, but I fully support him.
Yeah, it's great. I mean, yeah, and that's a really big thing. And hello, Amanda. Thank you for watching.
Amanda, forever supporting. Amanda, like, how do you make money, girl? Yeah, we love you, Amanda.
Yeah, totally love her. She's such a rock star. She was so awesome when she was on the show too. And her mom was even like, you guys were great. Like, it was awesome.
Yeah. She's forever on all the social media all the time. Great. I don't know how she does it. It's incredible.
I only strive to be
Amanda.
As good as Amanda.
Yeah.
That's it. My goal is to be Amanda. That's it. We love you too, Amanda. Thank you. So just to finish the story, so I started this podcast, as people who've listened to this know, they've heard the story, but I started this pretty much a year ago at this point. I started doing it as a 10-minute video interview with people on my network called My LinkedIn Friends. And it was just a way for me to give back and try to help people to get them, going with what was going on with like lockdowns and everything, and say, well, at least I can expose them to my network and maybe that'll at least help something. I don't know what, but like maybe, that was my mentality. And so I just started doing that. And then I would upload the videos to LinkedIn, and there they would sit, and, they got good engagement. And then I got approved for LinkedIn Live. And once I got approved for LinkedIn Live, it was like, okay, wow, I could start doing this as a live show, and now I could stream it and I could make it longer. And it opened up like the possibilities. And then it started becoming like, well, then I could also take this and turn it into an audio podcast as well. So then it became that. And now it's the 2 things. So it's the live show and then the audio version, which I'm like way behind on like getting up. But
yeah, it's like it's amazing how these things grow, and it's really, really special. Like my podcast, I mean, I talk about it in that room on Clubhouse too. I've been doing a weekly Wednesday podcast for over 3 years, not realizing that once you start and once it has traction, you can't stop.
That's it.
Thank you. And so it's just like, and so that's why I'm like, I don't want to seem ungrateful, but sometimes I'm just like, oh my God, like just when you finish the cycle, it starts all over again, and it's never ending. And I think that's also a reason why, like when the blog went down, when I took it down, I was just like, oh my God, if I start this again, it's going to add this other never ending
Right.
cycle that doesn't stop, that I can't, like, there's no way to pull the brakes on the train. You know?
Yeah, yeah, because you get engrossed in it, and because the other thing is, it's the passion, right?
Yeah.
The passion fuels it. You become addicted to it because you just want to constantly keep getting better, and you have like a little bit of blinders on it of like, I just want to do the work because I'm creating, and I just want it to be really good.
And you don't want to half-ass it. Can I say
Yeah, too late. You already said it.
I know.
No, but yes, you can.
You don't want to half-ass it either, right? Like,
Right.
I don't want to be like just throwing things out there to throw things out, because that doesn't work. At least that doesn't work for me, So
Well, it doesn't work for you, and that's how you want to express yourself. But I mean, I bet if you looked at the very first thing you did, it was probably like, oh my God, but you saw your evolution, of course. Like even this, like
yeah.
I said, I started off doing like just videos, and now I'm like doing this, and now I'm looking at like, getting a board and getting a better mic. And so it's like the addiction is real, but
I mean,
but that's
yeah.
I mean, but that's just the progression of like, if you're going to keep doing it, then I do want to get better at it. And I do want to do the upgrades and all that. And it's not like I'm going to be spending like, I'm not going to build an entire home studio, at least right now I'm not, but but enough that like, okay, the quality of the show gets better, and it's a little bit more easier to listen to, and all that, because that's it. If I'm going to put the time into it, now I just want to level my whole game up.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. I think what needs to happen, at least on my end, is I need to start building it and just having it in the background, and then just do like a big like kind of content dump,
right, and just get it up there
and just get it up. But just when you think like, okay, I'm settled in this, I have a handle on this, I'm ready to do something else, something new pops up, right? You mentioned my TikTok before.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh my God, okay, now I have to start doing TikToks. And people don't realize those 30-second videos
they do.
Some of them take like over an hour to make if you want really good ones.
Right, if you want really good quality stuff, yes, they do. They take like anything else, like thought, time, planning, and then you do it, and you screw it up, and you do another take and another take, and then you couple this, you edit everything together, and
yeah, one of my most popular ones, a reel on Instagram. It has, I don't even know what, it has double digits, into the thousands views. And it's just me making coffee in like one of those Italian mochas.
Yeah.
Right. And it's just me putting it together. But that video, albeit 15 seconds, took literally from the moment I woke up till like noon. It took forever. Because it was just like, piece it. Okay, it doesn't work. Okay, cut this. No, I need another second. It's still too long. Nope, got to do this. Right? And it's just like, oh my God.
Yeah, it is. It really, if you want to put out something that's like quality, it does take the time. I mean, that's just how it goes.
I think it's also, we're men of a certain age. I think I'm the last of that generation that remembers like when we didn't have all of this. And so like, like I'd rather be outside. Like it's 70 degrees here in New York. I'd rather be outside that like doing like enjoying the weather and being with a friend, and I'm watching a dog. I want to run and play with the dog, but no, I have yet to post on Instagram today, and I have yet to update this thing for tomorrow, and I have to do this, right? And it's like, oh, woe is me, first world problems. But at the same time, it's sometimes the content, at least in my mind, all of this like constant production and constant putting out is a little overwhelming and doesn't seem worth it to me sometimes. Well,
I agree. The sentiment is, I share the sentiment, because it is. I get addicted to making the content, but I'm also like, some days, like you, it's just like, it's gorgeous outside. You know what? Done. I'm going outside. I'm going to go outside. I'm going to go for a walk. You know what? Because I'm at the end of the day, like, we care, and people will notice to a point, but not really. And no one really cares that much where they're going to get all over you. It just becomes something in our head. And if we miss it, or we don't post a day or whatever, like, and that was something I personally got over, because it's like, I am not a content creator in the sense where I've monetized my YouTube channel or anything like that. So like, I'm not getting paid to be an influencer or any, like, I'm literally creating content to help keep myself relevant. So that way people may think of me when they want to like do personal brand coaching. Like that's at the end of the day, that's what it does. And if I miss it or I don't do it, I'm not going to go nuts, because I'd rather spend the time outside, play with my dog, hang out with my daughter. Like, let's go get lunch. Like, screw it. Like, what's the big deal?
I mean, my journey's a little different here, because I've been kind of paving the way a little bit, right? Or like trying to lead the charge for, you know, LGBTQ
Right.
people in the food space, and especially LGBTQ people of color in the food space, just being like, hey, we're here, hello,
Right.
notice me, hello, we're here, right? So like that's why it's important.
It
but
is
just
important.
but just sometimes it's just too much, and the internet is just so fickle. It's weird. And so like, you know, even
Yeah.
when I haven't missed a podcast in 3 years. That's in 3 years. Yes, I haven't missed a podcast. But like for my birthday, um, this year, I posted. You know, I just did like a 10-minute podcast of me just being like, "It's my birthday. I need the day. Thanks. Support me here. Do this, so on and so forth."
Right.
And we're out. You know.
Yeah, exactly. It's some days it is just like that. And and I mean the work you are doing and what you're trying to bring awareness to and spread and have that conversation go, it is important stuff for sure. Um, and I think that, as you said, it is sort of, we may be the last of that sort of age where you want to produce content, but you also got to say, I do want to go outside, I do want to hang out, like I can wait, it can wait. And and I don't know if that's always a sentiment anymore to the up and coming, the younger generation, where it's like, I really can't wait, like I'd rather be doing this than being outside, and I would rather be outside than being stuck here all the
Yeah, I mean,
time.
you just said Clubhouse is going opening up to Android, and it literally caused a little bit of anxiety just because I haven't been up and up on my Clubhouse room. I'm like, oh my God, I haven't been up on my Clubhouse room like I should be, and I gotta
Yeah.
get on there before the rest of these people come in. So at least I'm
Right, you want to
ahead
be
of the
ahead of the
pack,
curve. Yeah.
and get it done. And it's just like, oh my God, why do we need one more thing, you
Right,
know?
one more thing.
But
It's
I
like,
love doing it. I don't want to seem ungrateful or anything. I love doing it. It's just it's a lot, and I have a day job too.
right, and
You
that's the
know,
thing, is you have a day job, you have a life, there's other things that you've got going on than just producing content.
right? And some people come on my podcast. There's a really well-known guy. He blew up during the pandemic by the name of Dan Pelosi. He's so great. He's a creative director by day, and he's this food blogger and now quote unquote influencer, for lack of a better term. You know, by night, I don't know how he does it.
Right.
I don't know when he sleeps, because it's a
It's funny.
machine.
Yeah.
It's just a machine, and it's constant, and it's constant, and it's constant. And I'm like, how are you even doing your day job? Because it's never, and it's amazing. I'm kudos to you. Shout out to him.
Yeah.
But it also made me feel like, oh my God, I'm not doing enough. You know?
It's really difficult to look at other people and not get like envy, content envy, production envy, of being like,
Yeah.
wow, they're doing so much and they're getting so much out and all this stuff. And every time I go on, I see this, and they've got 3 podcasts, and they've got the YouTube channel, and they've got the live stream, and then their Instagram. And it's like, you just like, oh my gosh, how do you do it? And I know the answer is a bit of like, well, they batch create. They have a small team of people that are helping them. Like, there's just no way. It's just not possible. So, I mean, look at like Gary V. Like Gary, like, I mean, we remember when Gary used to just make things on his own, and now he's got D-Rock and and he's got a little team,
Yeah.
and they batch create constantly. So it's like Gary cuts something and they reuse it 1,000 ways. It's not Gary sitting there and like
Oh my God. If
doing this stuff
anybody
anymore.
out there wants to be part of our team, Chris and I will share.
Yes, yes,
we are
100%.
we are looking for interns that are dedicated,
Yeah,
that have a passion.
yeah. I mean, my daughter's been helping me out because she's really grown her editing chops, and she's got her own YouTube channel and everything. And so she'll help me out and like like she'll take an interview like this, watch it, and then cut out like 3 or 4 like cool 60-second moments, and I'll reuse it. But even that's like, for her, it's tough because she's going to school and she's doing her thing. Like, she wants to go out with her friends. She doesn't want to be sitting here cutting up dad's like 45-minute interviews. Like, but yeah, I mean, like, and I said, I can't even get the audio versions of the podcast out because it's just like, okay, I don't go crazy editing them, but I clean them up. But then I got to cut an intro. So I got to cut an intro. And then it's like, and then I got
It's a lot, but it's all good things, and
It is.
we're on our we're on a path. We're
We
on a
are.
path, and we're on the trajectory I think we're supposed to be on, and it'll work itself out or it won't, and we'll either pivot and keep it moving, or the train's gonna keep rolling, and that's what it has to be right now.
Yeah. Yeah. And honestly, even though it may sound like I'm bitching about stuff, I do love it. I love this. This is what I love, because for me, it's about getting to this, having conversations with you and the other people I've had on, and just talking about what they're doing, like what they're doing in life, how they're doing it, how they're being happy, how they're reaching their success and goals, how they're helping other people out. That's to me, that's the part that makes it all worth it. And then, as you said earlier, if somebody can hear something that even like you and I are talking about, and they go, wow, that's cool, let me check this out, let me see this, let me listen to it, or they can relate to it, and they find value, like, mission accomplished.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, it's a good time too. Like, this whole thing has been great. And I mean, even some guests on the pod, I don't know how deep you get on here. At least some guests on the pod will talk to me afterwards. We'll have like a debrief, and they'll be like, wow, do you know I've never told that story? And I'll be like, oh my God, really? I was like, and then I'll get scared, and they're like, no, it was just so comfortable and it felt right. And so that's where the joy comes in, finding the joy through that, finding the time, and finding like just those pieces, those tidbits that make you want to keep going, I think is what really does it for me, at least.
Yeah, I agree. I couldn't have said it really any better than that. So that's awesome. I just want to say hello to my friend Chris Roush. Thanks for watching, buddy. Appreciate your support as always. Make sure you go check out Michael's podcast, In Your Mouth, which I love. I love saying that. I think that's hilarious. I also like your merch too. I think your merch is great with your head on top of the ice cream cone.
Yes. Oh my God. Next time some come in, I got to get you one.
Yeah, definitely. Because I was like, I have to order that. We'll do a merch swap.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
I listen. I have tank tops for summer. I have. First of all, thank you. Thank you for saying that, and for the plug. We have these cute beach towels now. We, meaning me. Sorry for the sirens. I live in Times Square, and things are getting back to normal, I guess. The traffic and the horns are bigger and better than ever these days. There's these like cute, like,
there you go.
They call it a beach towel. Yeah. But it's more like a beach blanket than a towel. It's really great. So much fun stuff that you can go, purchase, support me. Every little bit helps. Chris and I put out all this content, for free, and every little bit, like, I'm not making $1 million off merch here. These are print to order things, and so the company that does it takes most of the money, and I make a very nominal, kickback from it.
Yep, same thing with me. Yeah.
Yeah, but it helps. It kind of takes the pressure off of like, like, oh my God, I gotta go do this, or maybe I can, step back some of my freelance stuff here because now I've made a little bit of money here. It's that balance. So every little bit of helps, between my merch, between Chris's merch. Absolutely, we need all the support. And I'm trying to figure out how to do a piece of merch that does some kickback to some organization as well. That's my next step.
Yeah, what I do is I tell everybody, and I'll actually do there's my little plug under here, is if you go to rocketmerch.com, I give everybody a code. You use Rocket 10, you get 10% off. But what I do is any 50% of the proceeds, I donate to charity here, local charity here. So there's a few local charities here right in my neighborhood that I like to support that are all doing really great work. Project Kind being one of them. So once I do a certain amount of shirt sales and I get enough, I can donate. I mean, it's not a lot, but hey, it's something. And I just want people to know that, yes, I don't make a lot of money off this, but I also would love to get back on that way too. So, if people order a ton of merch from me, I'm going to donate 50% to charity.
Incredible.
So yeah, that's what I like to do.
That's amazing. Yeah, I'm building to do the same thing. People order, it's very piecemeal, like it'll
Yeah,
come in waves here and
right,
there. And I'm grateful for anybody that orders anything. Trust and believe. I get so excited.
right.
And so actually I can't wait. This is
Mhm.
gonna be really funny. I can't wait till one day I'm in like a random like Goodwill or something, and there's like a piece of my merch, because then
I know.
you made it.
Yes. Oh, thank you. You see, you and I are like totally cut from the same cloth like that. Like that's absolutely it. If you see your merch in the Goodwill, you're like, bam,
I
done,
made it.
made it. I made it
I
because
made it.
that's a true testament to the power of your merch. And Amanda Sharp agrees.
Oh my God, Amanda. Amanda, buy the merch.
We love Amanda. Thank you so much, Amanda, for hanging out with us today. So yeah, let's we talked about a lot. I can't even believe it's been almost an hour. This has been great. This is what a
Yeah,
wonderful
thank you so
interview.
much.
Just so much fun. Make sure everybody who's been watching, I've been flashing up as we go along Michael's website, which is right here. It's on the screen. Go to it. He's also, once again, in your mouth. You can pretty much get this anywhere, right? You can wherever you get podcasts.
It's literally everywhere, from iTunes, Spotify, Amazon, here, Lumina, everywhere, just everywhere, period.
Yeah, and make sure
it's on Pandora, it's everywhere.
Yeah, and make sure when you go to Michael's website, you hit that merch button, because as you saw, we were showing it. For those who are watching the video version, you'll see it go by and you'll see the different kinds of merch there. But if you're listening to the audio version, make sure you click the show notes, because I'll have all the links in there, and then you can go to Michael's podcast, Michael's website, and the blog, which is up there, but it needs to be updated.
Yeah, there's like a few pieces. There was like a Christmas gift guide that I did.
Right.
It's coming slowly but surely, because once you start piling on all of this stuff, it gets, right? I shut down.
Right.
So it's just slowly but surely, right? And I can't thank you enough for inviting me on. And this was such a great time.
Now, I am so happy that you could come on, and this was wonderful, man. I was really looking forward to talking to you, and this is exactly what I wanted to have, just a great conversation talking about your background, your show, all the things that you're working on. I think it's all. So I'm a big fan. Please keep it up, because you're doing a great job. I absolutely love it. So thank you for creating all this great content. It's very cool.
Thank you. And out there, if you're listening, no matter how you're listening or if you're watching, please take 2 minutes and scroll down, hit the 5 stars, leave Chris a review, please. The man is doing good work, all right, and giving you great interviews and giving you all the content. So it takes no more than a minute and a half, if that. Just do it. Right?
I appreciate it. Yeah, and please do all the things: the liking, the sharing, the subscribing, wherever you're watching this. I know it's out on YouTube, it's out on LinkedIn, it's on Facebook. So please do all the things. It really helps. And as I always say, it not only helps me and the show grow, but it also helps the guests I have on to help them get their message out and tell their stories to the people you are connected to. So if you found value in this interview today, or know somebody who would love to hear this interview and find value out of it, please feel free to share it with them, because that's what this is all about. That's why I do this, because I just want to make sure people get their stories heard. So thank you all so much for watching live with us today. Thank you to everybody who will be watching the replay of this and will be listening to the audio version when it comes out. As usual, we will be here next Tuesday, 4 o'clock Eastern Standard Time, for another episode of Rocket Live. And I want to thank my guest, Michael Muñoz, one more time for coming on. Really appreciate you. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks again. This has been a blast. I'll come back anytime you want.
Awesome, man. I'd love to have you. This would be great. I'd love to do a part 2 to this for sure. So thank you all for watching. And always remember, be authentic, be yourself, and always remember to rock it.